I hold my water glass so tightly that my knuckles turn pale. Yet I refuse to let my mother see how much her words wound me. Lillian, you will never measure up to your sister. The chandelier glitters above us, scattering tiny prisms across the white tablecloth, while silence drops like a heavy curtain over the dinner table. This dinner is meant to celebrate Sierra's recent promotion. The reason the entire family sits around my parents' polished mahogany table on a quiet Wednesday evening. I came straight here after enduring a 10-hour shift, hardly able to change from my wrinkled blouse into something fresher. Mom? Sierra begins carefully, but her words collapse when our mother lifts her hand for silence. It's only the truth, dear. Your sister picked stability over risk. Nothing wrong with that, but we should all recognize what it means. My father clears his throat awkwardly, his gaze fixed on the salmon cooling on his plate. Your mother has a point, Lillian. Sierra is positioned to become a vice president before she even turns 30. Different choices, different results. I glance at Sierra, immaculate in a crimson dress, hair still flawless despite a full day at the office, and feel the sting deepen. Then I look at my mother, who wears the pearl necklace I gave her last Christmas. The gift she once called nice but not really my taste, though she has paraded it at every one of Sierra's milestones. Something hard inside me breaks loose. 2 years of swallowed words rise all at once. I stand, open my purse, and place the mortgage statement I have carried for 3 long days on the table. I had been waiting for the right moment. I finally realized there is never a right moment for this truth. I have been paying your bills for 2 entire years, I announce, sliding the paper forward, including the mortgage for this very house. My mother's eyes widen for a heartbeat before she recovers and waves me off with the same dismissive flick that has always made my stomach twist. That is what family is for. Sierra should devote herself to her career. My mind leaps back to Sierra's graduation ceremony 6 years earlier, when my parents surprised her with the keys to a brand new red Mazda, the hood wrapped with a huge white bow. Later that same afternoon, they handed me a small gift bag. Inside was a coffee mug printed with my college's logo. You are already established, my mother explained when she caught my disappointment. Your sister requires more support. Not long after, 2 years ago, came the first hushed phone call. My father admitted to a temporary setback, asking me to cover 1 mortgage payment, only until the finances settled. Now my fingertips brush the edge of the mortgage bill lying between us. 2 years of endless payments hardly count as temporary. Family supports each other, my mother insists, her tone firm and sharp. Why must you act so selfish? I reach back into my purse and withdraw the bundle of receipts I have gathered like armor. Bank transfers, confirmation slips, canceled checks, all proof of 2 relentless years of financial strain. I have carried the load long enough, I tell them. Though my hands tremble, my voice comes steady. I am not your personal cash machine. My father's face darkens with anger. Your sister is at a crucial point in her career. And I fire back, am at the edge of my patience. Even I am startled by the iron in my own words. Sierra looks at us, confusion shadowing her expression. What is going on? She asks, but no one answers. My mother glares, her eyes narrowing into hard slits. My father studies the ceiling as though it holds a solution. I stand rooted in the dining room, fully aware of the risk I take. These are the people who raised me, the sister I once tutored, the girl I drove to countless dance rehearsals. And yet, gazing at their faces, I see clearly for the first time that my worth has never been measured in love, memories, or shared blood. It has been weighed only in dollars provided quietly in the background. I will be stepping away from family dinners, I say evenly, and from family payments. My mother's face freezes into something sharp and unfamiliar. You will regret this, Lillian. Family is all we truly have. At the doorway, a strange lightness floods me. Then perhaps, I have nothing at all. An entire week slips by after that stormy dinner. Except for Sierra's occasional short messages, my parents remain silent. Then, on Thursday afternoon, my mother finally calls, asking me to organize her tax paperwork since you are so good with numbers. The compliment stings praise for skill that ignores my career. I never meant to find it, but as I sort through the jumbled pile of forms on her desk, my name jumps out from a page. My pulse stops. A student loan statement lies in my hand, not mine, but Sierra's. The figures blur before snapping into dreadful clarity. A payment of $19,400, taken directly from my own account. My hands shake as I turn more pages. Car payments, credit card debts. Each discovery twists my stomach tighter. These were never emergency favors. They were deliberate, systematic, and entirely expected. I hear footsteps and turn. My mother stands in the doorway, her pearl necklace gleaming against a white blouse. "Did you locate the mortgage interest forms?" she asks. Then her eyes fall on the papers clutched in my hands. Something flickers across her face, not guilt, but irritation at being caught. "What is this?" My voice, sharp and distant, cuts the air like it belongs to someone else. "What is this?" Dad appears in the doorway with his reading glasses pushed up on his forehead. Sierra lingers in the hallway, thumbs moving quickly over her phone, barely lifting her eyes. "Lillian, do not create a scene," Mom warns as she steps into the office. Dad trails in behind her, both of them looming while I remain in the leather chair. The open ledger rests on the desk like an undeniable confession. "You used my money to erase Sierra's student loans." I press my index finger firmly against the statement. $19,400. Mom waves her hand as though brushing away dust. "You were helping your family. Sierra's debts were the most urgent. And her car payments?" I demand, raising another statement. $3,600 just last year. "Transportation is essential for her role," Dad insists, shifting his glasses back down to his nose. "She has to meet clients," he explains. "What about these credit card charges?" I spread the statements out like playing cards. $9,000, including $200 spent on designer clothes and upscale restaurants. "Professional appearance is vital in marketing," Mom answers quickly, no hesitation in her voice. I glance at Sierra, who finally tucks away her phone and shrugs. "I never asked for this. Mom told me you were glad to help." The room feels suffocating, walls pressing closer. For 2 whole years I believed I was easing a short-term difficulty, yet all along I had been funding Sierra's entire lifestyle. "Sierra requires freedom to build her career," Dad argues, his tone implying I should naturally accept it. "You are steady, stable, like a dependable workhorse. The reliable daughter meant to carry the load so the shining one can rise." I shove my chair back, desperate for distance. My own student loans remain unpaid. I have been diverting every extra dollar toward your obligations. "That is not the same," Mom counters quickly. "Your career does not demand the same polish." The unspoken judgment lingers in the air. Software engineering compared to marketing. Backroom against spotlight. Hidden versus praised. "Do you realize what this has done to my financial future?" I ask, my voice gathering strength. "If I keep carrying everyone else, I will never build anything of my own." Mom blinks, as if puzzled by the thought. "Family stands by family, Lillian. That is what we taught you." "Sierra's wedding is coming soon," she continues, her eyes lighting with fresh determination. "Naturally, you will contribute. She deserves a flawless day." The assumption hits me like a blow to the chest. I snatch the ledger, turning to the final page where every payment is tallied. The total screams back at me. $61,000. $61,000. 2 years of mortgage checks, tuition payments, car bills. credit card balances, $61,000 spent propping up a family that saw me only as second best. I closed the book with shaking fingers, the truth impossible to ignore. My money had been feeding their favoritism all along. Later that same afternoon, I bring the ledger to Diane, my colleague and the closest person I can call a friend. We sit across from each other in a quiet cafe, coffee cooling untouched while she studies the figures. "This is not normal family support, Lillian," she says firmly, shutting the book and sliding it back across the table. "This is exploitation." The word crashes into me like a physical strike. Exploitation, not help, not duty. A calculated taking advantage. Driving home that evening, copies of the ledger in my bag, I wrestle with choices that both feel impossible. Should I cut off every payment at once, forcing them to confront reality, though it might sever ties beyond repair? Or should I slowly pull back, enduring more months of strain while they adjust? One option could destroy family bonds, the other could destroy me. What would anyone do when the people meant to love them measure only what can be provided? The following Wednesday morning, while at work, my phone buzzes with a fifth call from my cousin in a single week. My family has arranged an emergency meeting, but I have no plans to attend. I press the silence button and lay the phone face down on my desk, though it lights up again instantly. The Morris family reunion has become everyone's favorite subject. Avoiding someone? Diane asks from the next cubicle, eyebrow arched. My mother organized a reunion without telling me, I murmur, rubbing at my temples. Now she expects me to pay for it. Diane's eyes widen. Disbelief etched on her face. The audacity, after all they have already taken. I nod as I open my inbox to see 3 emails from aunts and uncles I have barely spoken to in months. Each note carries the same thinly disguised request. The family needs assistance, and apparently, I am the chosen source. Did you hear anything about this gathering? I ask Diane. No. But your sister's engagement photos are everywhere online, she replies, turning her monitor toward me. Your mother tagged nearly everyone except you. Sierra beams from the screen, a large diamond flashing on her left hand. The caption reads, "Planning the celebration of the century for my beautiful daughter? Blessed." My stomach knots tighter when I see the very first comment beneath it. Lillian will help make it perfect. I have become the family's personal ATM. And now they make public promises with my money. That evening, I curl up on my couch with a mug of tea, scrolling numbly through Facebook. My thumb halts in shock over a photograph posted nearly 5 weeks earlier, my parents and Sierra smiling beneath the glowing Las Vegas sign, cocktails lifted high in celebration. The timestamp shows it was taken during the weekend when I worked grueling overtime hours to cover an emergency property tax bill for their house. While I sacrificed, they escaped to Vegas with my money, pretending they were on the edge of financial collapse. In the restless days that follow, sleep becomes a luxury that constantly slips through my fingers. Night after night, I lie awake, running endless calculations in my mind, how much I have already given, how much they have demanded, and how little I still have left for myself. The heavy pressure of financial anxiety presses so hard against my chest that each breath feels shallow. During meetings at work, my mind drifts away to the reminder of the second overdue notice on my own student loan, while Sierra's debt sits fully paid with funds stolen from me. "You look utterly drained," my boss remarks one Thursday morning after I miss a deadline for the very first time in 3 years. I force a quick reply, "I'm fine," though the dark shadows under my eyes reveal otherwise. Out of desperation, I begin recording everything in a small leather-bound journal. Every phone call, each request, every single dollar transferred. That worn notebook soon becomes my constant companion, evidence I cannot deny. Within its pages, I lay bare the full pattern of manipulation that has infected our family for years. The subtle praises of Sierra's endless achievements always followed by money requests, the guilt-laden comments when I hesitated, the celebration dinners I secretly financed while being treated like an afterthought. Page after page, the journal becomes a complete archive of systematic exploitation, a truth that can no longer be ignored. One Tuesday evening, as I sort through a stack of documents, a voice calls out unexpectedly. "Lillian?" My heart jumps. Uncle Frank stands near the elevator, his face worn yet kind, concern etched in every line. "Uncle Frank," I say, startled. "What are you doing here?" "Looking for you," he answers simply. "You've skipped the last 3 family gatherings." "That's not like you." I drop my gaze, unsure how to answer. "I always thought you were the backbone of this family," he continues, his tone gentle but steady. "Now I wonder if they've been abusing that strength." His words land with surprising weight, bringing tears to my eyes. The following Saturday, I find myself once again in my parents' kitchen. Sierra sits at the counter, absent-mindedly flipping through glossy bridal magazines while my mother circles venue choices in bold red ink. "The country club deposit is due next week," my mother remarks without glancing up. "Sierra deserves a perfect celebration. You'll cover the venue fee." It's not posed as a question, but as an order. Something sharp and final cracks inside me. "I will not pay another cent," I declare. My voice steady for once. "Not for this, or for anything else." The kitchen falls into a tense silence. Sierra snaps her head up from the magazine. My mother freezes, her pen hovering midair. "Don't be absurd," she manages, though doubt flickers briefly across her features. "I mean it," I continue, discovering a strange new power in my calmness. "I've paid the mortgage, cleared Sierra's student loans, handled her car bills and credit cards. I am finished." My mother's mouth opens and closes helplessly, searching for the same manipulative words that have trapped me for years. For the first time, I see every tactic clearly, the guilt trips, the comparisons, the subtle insults dressed as concern. "I have been financing my own mistreatment. You cannot just," she begins. I cut in sharply, "and I already have." The following day, Diane spreads spreadsheets across her dining table, calculator clicking beside her. "Without carrying their burden," she says, circling a total, "you could erase your student loans in 3 years instead of 15. The number stares back at me, a glimpse of freedom I never thought possible. That evening, Uncle Frank calls. "I spoke with your mother," he says bluntly. "She's furious." "I know," I answer. "Good," he replies without hesitation. "Families sometimes need to learn painful lessons. I'm proud of you for standing firm." That night, I sit at my laptop searching job postings outside of Austin. Seattle appears again and again, technology positions with higher salaries, a chance to start over 3,000 miles away. I allow myself to picture a life built for me alone, shaped by my choices and my needs, rather than endless demands. The next morning, I walk into the bank and request full printouts of every transaction over the last 2 years. The clerk raises an eyebrow at the towering stack of pages but obliges without comment. Hours later, I spread the papers across my table, arranging them in careful order, highlighting every payment made to my parents. Hidden among my father's financial records, I stumble on a statement for an unfamiliar account. An account holding a balance that completely contradicts their constant pleas of hardship. He had been hiding money while I bled my savings dry. Just as the realization sinks in, my phone rings. My mother's name flashes on the screen. "We are holding an emergency family responsibility meeting tomorrow," she announces without greeting. "The mortgage was not paid." "I know," I reply, my voice calmer than it has been in years. "I already told you I'm finished." "This is not a joke, Lillian," she snaps. "Be here at 6. I hang up slowly and look at the evidence spread across my table. The undeniable record of years of manipulation. For the first time, I hold all the power. I whisper into the stillness, "I'll be there," with receipts. The following Tuesday evening after work, I arrived deliberately 15 minutes early for the family meeting, parking my Toyota discreetly 2 houses down from my parents' stately colonial home. The heavy 3-inch black binder resting on the passenger seat feels like it carries the weight of 2 entire years of drained finances, each page carefully categorized and dated. Uncle Frank's advice from his morning call echoes through my mind like a steady drumbeat. Do not let them twist the story. When I step inside without knocking, the familiar lemony scent of polished furniture drifts around me, sharpening my focus. In the dining room, my parents sit at opposite ends of the long table, regal as if presiding over a court. Sierra perches uneasily between them, her attention fixed on her phone screen. "You are early," Mom remarks, surprise flashing briefly before her face settles back into practiced calm. I place the binder firmly in the center of the table, its soft thud demanding notice. "I wanted to be sure we had enough time," I say. Dad shifts uneasily in his chair. "Enough time for what?" he asks warily. I open the binder to the first section labeled Mortgage, revealing highlighted bank transfers and running totals. It is time to examine everything I have covered for the past 2 years. My voice is controlled, clipped, almost professional. Let us start with the mortgage. 24 payments at $1,200 each. That amounts to $28,800. Mom's eyebrows shoot upward. That cannot be possible. I calmly flip to the next section, student loans. Not mine, Sierra's. $19,400. Dad's face loses color as he studies the figures, his fingers tapping against polished mahogany. Car payments for Sierra's Mazda. $3,600. Another page turns. Finally, credit card bills, nearly all for clothes, restaurants, and trips tied to Sierra's work. $9,200. Sierra's phone slips from her hand, clattering on the wood. "That is more than I earn in 3 months, she murmurs. The total, I announce, revealing the summary sheet marked in bright yellow, is $61,000. Mom's lips flatten into a hard line. "You are exaggerating. Half those amounts were gifts. You offered to help." I lay down proof for every cent. From my bag, I pull a manila folder bulging with copies of checks and transfer confirmations. It lands with a satisfying weight beside the binder. "Would you like me to review them one at a time?" I ask. "This is nonsense," Dad mutters, though his eyes refuse to meet mine. Sierra reaches cautiously for the folder, flipping through the pages with unsteady hands. Her usual poise drains away as she pauses at a credit card statement showing purchases for her interview suits. "I had no idea," she whispers. "Mom said you were glad to help," Sierra continues, her voice thick with confusion. "She claimed you wanted to contribute because your tech salary gave you extra money." "Extra money?" My laugh bursts out, sharper than I intend. "I still carry my own student loans. I have postponed dental work because I could not afford it. There has never been extra money." When Sierra asks softly why I never told her how much I was giving, I falter. Should I reveal that our parents demanded secrecy to protect her confidence? Or let her uncover their manipulation on her own? Before I choose, the doorbell chimes. Perfect timing. Mom rises, smoothing her cardigan. "We are busy." "That would be Uncle Frank," I say. "I asked him to come." Dad's head jerks up. "Frank? Why would you?" Uncle Frank's booming voice cuts through as he enters without hesitation. "Hello everyone. I hope I am not late." My mother's face stiffens as her brother takes a seat beside me. He nods toward the binder. "I see Lillian has shown you the numbers. You knew?" Mom demands, her voice tight with betrayal. "I suspected," Frank replies, his usual jovial tone replaced by solemnity. "Families support each other in crises, not as a constant arrangement." "What you have been doing to Lillian is not right, Elaine." Silence blankets the room like a thick fog. My mother looks from her brother to me, realizing the carefully crafted story she clung to is unraveling. "I am no longer alone," Sierra speaks at last. Jenna asked yesterday why Lillian stopped coming to family gatherings. She seemed worried, like she sensed something was wrong. Your friends cannot possibly understand our family dynamics, Mom says with a dismissive wave, though a thread of doubt weaves into her voice. The Hendersons called last week, Uncle Frank adds steadily. They wanted to know if the rumors were true that you were claiming hardship while spending freely on luxuries. Dad's cheeks flare red. That is none of their concern. The dining room falls quiet again until Sierra's phone vibrates with a new alert. She glances down, then lifts her gaze, eyes wide. It is from the mortgage company, she whispers. They are sending a late notice. At that instant, as my father's shoulders slump and my mother's careful mask slips, I recognize the first fractures in their fragile facade. The financial tower they built is beginning to crumble, and for the first time, I am not scrambling to hold it up. 2 days later, I sit across from my parents at their kitchen table. Light streams in, catching floating dust motes between us. The space feels different now, smaller, less threatening. My father forces a strained smile as he pushes a paper across the surface. Lillian. We have been thinking. He clears his throat slowly, as if rehearsing his lines. We recognize your worries about the financial situation, he begins. My mother nods stiffly, her eyes flickering nervously to the pile of past-due envelopes half hidden beneath a cookbook. Families should always acknowledge the efforts of their members, she says. But we have not shown that appreciation enough toward you. The words sound scripted, polished, but hollow. I watch them with a clarity I never had before, noticing the way Dad's fingers tap nervously against the tabletop and how Mom's gaze keeps darting to the bills she's trying so hard to conceal. We have a compromise, Mom says, her voice steady but brittle. If you agree to continue paying the mortgage, we will ensure everyone knows how much you have contributed. Sierra will know too. Dad leans closer, his tone heavy with warning. Consider what you are risking, Lillian. Once family ties break, they cannot always be repaired. Is that the outcome you want? Their question hangs between us, an attempt to reclaim authority. A couple of months ago, I might have yielded. Even 2 weeks earlier, I might have bargained. But today, I open my laptop with calm certainty. I have accepted a new position, I announce, turning the screen toward them. Software architect at Meridian Tech in Seattle. I begin next month. The color drains from my mother's cheeks. Seattle? That is across the country. The salary is $135,000, I continue, pointing to a spreadsheet. That is $33,000 more than I currently make. Dad leans forward eagerly. That is wonderful news, sweetheart, but... And without pouring money into this house, I cut in, highlighting another line in my budget. I will save about $3,200 each month. My mother's lips press into a thin seam. You cannot simply walk away. I have been paying for the privilege of being diminished and dismissed, I reply evenly. That arrangement ends now. Dad reaches for my hand, but I pull back. Lillian, be reasonable. I am being reasonable for the first time in years. My phone buzzes with a message from Uncle Frank. Everyone's here, waiting when you are ready. I stand, closing my laptop. I need to go. Sierra's dinner begins in 30 minutes. My parents rise to follow, confusion clouding their faces. The restaurant hums with chatter when I step into the private room Uncle Frank has reserved. Sierra sits at the head of the table in an elegant cream-colored dress, surrounded by relatives I have not seen in months. My parents trail behind me, visibly unsettled. What is happening here? My mother hisses under her breath. I do not answer. Instead, I walk straight to Sierra. She glances up, her smile fading when she sees my expression. Lillian? What is going on? I set a wrapped gift box in front of her, the silver paper reflecting the chandelier's light. I wanted to show you something to all of you, I say, my voice firm enough to still the room. Open it. Sierra hesitates, then carefully peels away the wrapping. Inside rests a leather portfolio filled with receipts, transfers, and bank statements from the past 2 years. This is my gift, the truth about who has been carrying this family. She flips through the pages, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief. It is all here, I whisper. $61,000 across 2 years. Sierra's eyes brim with tears as she looks up, her gaze swinging to our parents, who remain frozen near the doorway. How could you? My mother steps forward, her voice tight. Sierra, this is not the right moment. No, Sierra snaps, holding up a statement. The moment is now. Uncle Frank rises from his chair. Your sister has carried this household while being treated as though she were the lesser one. Aunt Patricia gasps, and murmurs ripple through the room. My mother's face burns crimson while my father stares at the floor. Sierra stands abruptly, clutching the portfolio, and comes to me. Her voice drops to a near whisper. I never realized how much you sacrificed. A tear streaks down her cheek. From now on, live your life for yourself. Around us, the room falls into stunned silence as Sierra turns on our parents, demanding the answers I have been waiting for all my life. Inside me, something long knotted begins to loosen. Later that week, Uncle Frank tells me my parents are talking about selling their home. Without my monthly support, they cannot keep up with the mortgage. A small part of me wonders if any bond with them can be mended, or if I even want to try. I tape another box shut in my apartment, scrawling kitchen across the cardboard. Seattle waits for me with a job, a home, and the promise of a new start. As I wrap fragile glasses in newspaper, I stumble upon an old family album tucked away in the back of a drawer. Faded photos spill out vacations, birthdays, smiling faces that now feel like strangers. I close it gently and place it in a box labeled undecided. 6 months later, golden morning light streams through the windows of my Seattle apartment, bathing the small dining table in warmth. On my phone, the student loan app flashes an update, another $2,400 gone from my balance this month. No more mortgage checks for my parents. No more credit card rescues for Sierra. Only my own freedom, one payment at a time. My laptop pings with an incoming video call. Diane's face brightens the screen, her familiar Atlanta kitchen in the background. Look at you. Seattle seems to suit you perfectly, Diane says, sipping from her oversized coffee mug. You appear different somehow. I straighten my back with quiet pride. I wrapped up 2 major projects this quarter, and my team lead already mentioned that I am on track for a promotion before December. And this time no one else is stealing credit for your effort, Diane adds knowingly. A laugh bursts out of me, genuine and unrestrained, rising from deep in my chest. It feels strange, this freedom of not having to minimize my achievements just to keep someone else comfortable. What about that hiking group you once told me about? She asks. We are planning a weekend climb to Mount Rainier next month, I admit. I hesitate briefly, then confess. And I have been seeing someone. Nothing serious yet, but the possibility is there. You are opening yourself to it, Diane smiles warmly. That is the true victory. Later that evening, I slip into a sage green dress for my company's dinner gathering. As I fasten a simple gold necklace, I catch my reflection in the mirror. My shoulders are squared, my chin lifted, my eyes bright and unclouded. The woman who left Austin half a year ago would have stood hunched, shrinking into herself. Now I walk into the buzzing banquet hall with steady steps. My department head calls me over, waving excitedly toward a table near the front. There she is, she announces. Lillian's client satisfaction scores ranked highest across the company this quarter. The Reynolds account personally requested her for their next phase. Applause rises around me. My cheeks flush, but I do not dismiss the recognition. Instead, I meet their eyes and simply say, "Thank you." I am proud of the work we have accomplished. When a woman beside me asks gently about my family, the question no longer twists my stomach into knots as it once did. My parents and I are keeping distance right now, I answer evenly, my hand steady with the butter knife. My sister and I are learning to rebuild a more truthful relationship. My voice carries no shame, only calm. No long excuses spill into the silence. Just the truth, spoken plainly. Families can be complicated, she offers. Yes, I nod. And sometimes they are exactly what they look like. That weekend, Diane and Uncle Frank visit Seattle. We gather in my modest living room. Takeout containers spread across the coffee table. Uncle Frank raises a glass of Pinot Noir. To Lillian, he declares, who reminded me, it is never too late to choose your real family. Diane lifts her glass too. To building the family you choose, instead of only accepting the one you were born into. The three of us clink glasses, their words soaking into me like warm sunlight. The following Tuesday, an unexpected message lands in my inbox. Sierra's name in the sender line makes me hover over the delete button. But curiosity pulls me in. I took over Mom and Dad's mortgage last month, she writes. They were furious about it. Dad even suggested I ask you to help until I get stable. I told him I have been stable for years, just not financially free. That is changing now. She continues, admitting her struggles with budgeting and responsibility. It is harder than I imagined, she confesses. But there is satisfaction in it. I think I finally understand what you tried to show me. I reread her words twice, letting them sink in. Mom and Dad want to visit you. I told them that was your choice, not mine. They do not grasp why you refuse. Let bygones be bygones, they say. But I am beginning to see differently. I would like to visit, just me, when you are ready. My response is short yet sincere. I am not ready for Mom and Dad. But I would love to show you Seattle when spring arrives next year. Closing my laptop that evening, I find myself reflecting on the delicate line between forgiveness and self-preservation. Sierra appears to be genuinely changing after facing the truth of our family's dysfunction, but our parents remain unmoved. The question lingers in my mind. Would you risk repairing bonds with people unwilling to change? Or would you pour your energy into relationships built on respect for your boundaries?